Very good evening to everybody watching. Thank you for making time and be with us on this Monday's edition of the Evening Review. My name is Toiwan Jabela. Tonight on the platform, we welcome back Lifalaza Simataa. He is the spokesperson of the Landless People's Movement, and he is here to help us understand the context and meaning of the headlines that have been emerging out of that political party in recent days. Thank you very much, Mr. Simataa. It's always a pleasure. You haven't visited us
I haven't.
in a while, you know.
I'm so sorry. I've been neglecting you guys.
Yeah.
We should be doing this more often, but thank you for
Absolutely.
having me again.
No, wonderful.
Yes.
Yeah, so I suppose the biggest news really is around the removal
Yes.
of the mayor of Keetmanshoop. People do not really understand the motive. And the residents there seem to be very unhappy with that decision. If you can give us a bit of background as to what led to that drastic decision.
No. So it's good that we are here to basically address this, is that we understand that nature of concern, and we thought that it best be we respond to this. So naturally is that there has been a few issues when it comes to the leadership within Keetmanshoop, where there has been a bit of conflict between the three leaders, and then at the same time following directive and moving forward with the party's mandate. So
When you say three leaders, you're referring to?
our councillors, all three of them, the LPM councillors.
Yeah.
So the party in itself has attempted to mediate those sessions to get them to assist with one another. But then when we see that it is pulling away from certain directions of like decisions to be made and also meeting certain conduct, and then we hear all around that residents were concerned coming out of Keetmanshoop, the team and the people, the staff were concerned. The party had to be placed in a position to basically address the matter. And so if you also are aware that two of our members who were in the management committee were then illegally removed from management committee under a vote and so forth. So it reached the point that we needed to go to the litigate to ensure that our councillors are there. And I think that provides the background to show that this is not the footing that we would like to start when it comes to running things in Keetmanshoop, especially at the back of elections where we need to ensure voter confidence. So it was quite important that we had to address this now as early as possible so we can remedy the situation there. Unfortunately, the decision in itself, controversial as it may sound, was the best of a lot of options that we had. And so we had to determine what is the best way moving forward. And unfortunately, that is the decision that we're there. Or fortunately.
Yeah. There was a report in the Namibian last week talking about that Melody Swartbooi, if that is her name, the mayor had defied the party instruction. There was a vote of no confidence that was supposed to be passed somewhere, and she was told to be absent from that process, and she attended or something to that effect.
So towards that degree. So what the party is also trying to do is why we took a while to actually decide to take this decision, is that we also do not want to put our council in a negative light, to ensure that there is that. We don't want a turn in that, but because there was a decision to be made. The whole process of the illegal removal of our councillors, they were mitigating directives and so forth as to how can we adjust this. This in itself, the decision in itself is illegal. And as the chairperson, Melody was in a position to address the situation. Unfortunately, now she became part and parcel of this illegal thing. But not to say that this is necessarily the only reason that's there, but I think she abstained from the vote whilst it was in a position where we shouldn't have continued because the process in itself was illegal. So it reached a point now that we needed to litigate. So you can see with all these decisions being made and the fighting and lack of communication or what is the word, coordination between the councillors, the party now had to say, okay, how do we now navigate this moving forward? Because basically in that regard also is that if your team that is running one of your strongholds is not sufficient and so forth, it's the people who are voting that struggle at the end of the day where you can't get these directives. And that's why the party had to make this decision to say that, okay, we need to redeploy and look at the situation as to how best can we mitigate moving forward, because we're already losing voter confidence at the back of a controversial election. So it's like we don't have the time or the luxury of basically doing this. Also, it's within our mandate to really also strategize and deploy. So that was the other concern. People are saying that it's illegal and so forth, but it's not.
Yeah.
The party has done this. The party has recalled councillors time and time before. Not in a dramatic fashion as this. I think the last one was Herki, who burned the flag, and so basically this is nothing new, but it's really in ensuring that we can ensure that we can do what's best for our people on the ground.
Yeah. So just for clarity, Melody Swartbooi was recalled only as mayor, or is she kicked out of council altogether?
So this is another thing that was just a logistical thing, is that because mayor is chosen up amongst the councillors themselves, the party had to then remove her as a councillor to ensure that she does not have that position anymore together. So right now she is unfortunately out of council until further notice. She is still a member of the party as it stands, and the redeployment or deployment depends on the operative secretary. But right now as it stands, she's no longer in council.
Okay, you have substituted her so far, or you are still on the hunt for the, I mean, I suppose for your party, do you also work with a list? Who's next on the list?
So there is a list, but I believe the party has already made conversations, and that I believe part and parcel of it was supposed to be the Keetmanshoop meeting, but as you can see in the articles how that happened, was that discussion of moving forward. But the party, the office of the operative secretary had that discussion in length, and there is a plan for moving forward. So the candidate has been selected. I don't know if I'm privy to say who it is, but that's much is sorted, is that the replacement shall be up, if not up already, I believe. But yes.
Okay. And then you were quoted in the Namibian also affirming that there's an issue of a car there, party car that was that was with someone who's related to the former mayor, and the car has been wrestled away from that person also.
Wrestled is a big word. So I think we need to take light of that. As any organizations, you have you don't have an infinite amount of resources. So it is that this individual, who's our deputy operative secretary, was awarded the car to do work in that region specifically, because we are trying to ensure that come next election that we have structures in place, we have everything to ensure that we can safeguard the elections and safeguard the processes. So that was the element to it. So in this narrative and so forth, because Keetmanshoop was just escalating and so forth, was that we needed to redeploy the car for other party activities. The party has like 4 cars, so like it's not. So it was just, can you please bring the car to this individual so we can collect it so it can be used for other activities? That became a conflict and back and forth, is where now the individual was asking for reasons and so forth. And as on a LPM standard, it was just that, no, it isn't in our policy to write out detailed reasons, just like it's a party activity. But even so, we can do that thing. So that back and forth, we see it isn't as necessary as a situation as it should be, but because this is as a common exercise, we always relegate our resources accordingly and so forth. So all our cars it's not given to a specific individual, it's used for party resources. So that is just a structural administrative issue that we have currently for some reason.
And what it's made out to look like is like it's interconnected to the mayor being removed also. Is that, are you paging the Swartbooi family?
So no, it seems to be the conduct, and I think the conduct is, unfortunately, because I didn't bring it up, but I saw it in the newspapers that the two individuals are in a relationship. But even when it comes to the Keetmanshoop situation, already the second operative secretary had removed himself as a conflict of interest. So there is no connection within the two in that regard. So it becomes a bit problematic, where it seems that they're trying to connect two separate situations and they're not. Similarly, we even have even just to maybe jump the gun, is that we even have Joseph Isaacs, who has put himself in the thing, who was suspended on a other separate thing. But I think because of proximity, they try to shuffle all of these things in together, and it becomes quite problematic, where it seems like there's a huge conspiracy when that's not the case. It is administrative things. Joseph Isaacs was suspended for his own particular reasons. Melody was withdrawn because of her particular reason. We want the car for these reasons. But maybe it's because Keetmanshoop is a small town. They all assume that everything is interconnected, but that's not the scenario.
There were also revelations last week about very unparliamentary, if you like, unleadership words attributed to Mr. Swartbooi, Bernardo Swartbooi. F words in some messages to those guys. Just
to jump into that.
Yeah, why would my good big brother use words like that?
I think even with this regard, and I think I need to already disclaim that we're not condoning the behavior and so forth.
Yeah.
But I think to build on context is that the by that time I think we're at our 4th or 5th mediation session. We have a understanding with IPC in there, and even they're losing faith in us. So much so that we have to have meetings outside with them to say, oh, we're going to resolve the situation. So in a moment of weakness, we can say there was a flare in that regard, just to say that these leaders, we're trying our best to mitigate this situation, and it continues to devalue and so forth, and then those texts will come. So what were the narratives that we understand is that, of course, it's unparliamentary language and so forth, but it was just addressing that is that some individuals are seeing this as number one, a common thing, which is not, but number two, directed at Melody. But if you read the text again, which unfortunately are there, it was at the situation and not necessarily at the individual.
Yeah.
So it becomes problematic. So yes, I have had a sit down with him because unfortunately I have to answer these questions. Yeah. And it was frustration at the moment of we are really trying to make sure that we can hold Keetmanshoop and build from there upwards. Yeah. And this is our stronghold. So this is to other people, this could be our spearhead. Yeah. And if it's a blunt spearhead, how do we penetrate other towns? How do we move forward if we do not have successes to it? So we have to actively build on a narrative there that we're successful, we're solving problems, we're doing ABC. But when the team that is in charge of there is flustering and so forth, it becomes quite difficult for us to fix that, especially on a local level. Yeah. A national level, we try with our emotions and so forth, but it's on the ground and the everyday struggles of the people that need to be addressed. Yeah. And so when we fail to address that, we fail to gain support, and that's what we're trying to do at the end of the day. So unfortunately, that frustration came out. He has been apologetic afterwards and so forth, but we can only ask for forgiveness from our viewers that this is not the conduct that we endorse, but exactly just to build that context of this is the moment of weakness according to that situation, the frustration that built to it, because it was meeting after meeting, conversation, and the individuals saying they'll work on it, they'll finally work together, and then we keep on having this type of situation.
Absolutely.
Yes.
We go for a very short break and return with Lifalaza Simataa. We are still talking to Lifalaza Simataa here on the evening review. Now, let's quickly talk about the party's performance in the last election in what you are calling consistently your stronghold, and there's no question whatsoever that is indeed your stronghold. But the hold onto that part of the country has loosened a little bit. To what do you attribute as a party to what transpired in the 2025 local authority and regional council elections?
So when it comes to that conversation, I think a lot of Namibians are tired of hearing it, but we do not believe that the elections was free and fair to begin with. And even when we talk about patterns or systems and so forth, just already as an idea to put in the viewer's head, is that you have a ruling party that is on the dwindle in national elections. And then suddenly, when it comes to local elections and so forth, they skyrocket to almost a 99% victory in certain areas. Even though the election had a smaller voter turnout, it took longer to count, and all these other aspects that we attribute. And we sound like a broken record to say that we believe that the elections was captured. And we believe so with also national elections. So that is the biggest concern that we have. And moving forward, it is that how do we ensure that these structures are well maintained to ensure democracy takes place. So already, number one, the biggest thing that we're doing is that there's a review of the Voters Act, ECN, and then we're actively trying to contribute to that. We're engaging with other countries and other opposition political parties in the different countries as to how did you allow for the system to then work in your favor, where they have been on the turn, or what safeguards can we look at to addressing these type of situations? That's number one. Number two is reassuring voters confidence, which is something I've been hammering right now continuously in this interview, is that we also need to then ensure that people have something to vote for. Now, after we've made sure that the systems aren't rigged in ABC, are people enticed to vote? As you can see, the voters' turnout has gone down, is decreasing, and so forth. How do we increase that and get people back into these conversations, and also back into an idea of thinking that opposition party is the way forward? So that is now where we have councillors, where we have people, we must work. We must have receipts, basically, to show you that your vote is not going to waste. This is everything that we could and have tried to do and developed. And if you trust us with more votes, we can do more. So those are the two major instances that were there. So that's why it's quite a tight ship. You can see in National Council, Parliament, we have our speakers addressing continuously on many things, asking questions, pushing things. Councillors, the same. We even have a councillors workshop that's coming to make sure that the new councillors also have a background so that they cannot be bullied or muscled by administration or other councillors. So we're trying our best to make sure that those things are aligned outside the backdrop of this. But it's also probably a universal thing. We need citizens to be also more interested in politics, to safeguard these things, to ask questions when these patterns or numbers emerge. It's like, but how is that possible in ABC? Then it's not just opposition party crying wolf all the time. Yes.
The question that I forgot to ask you earlier, related to the original subject of our conversation, was the confrontation with your party members in Keetmans.
Yes.
How do you strike a balance as a party to do what you thought was right, but without alienating members of your party that felt that the situation ought to have been approached differently? Because you also don't want and I watched the videos, and Mr. Swartbooi was, in his element there, you know him as a fierce guy, saying, whatever. Then people say, yeah, for tech man, all these kind of things. Sorry for my language. But how do you
strike a balance,
regain the trust of those people, particularly?
I think in that conversation, it is politics, or political parties find themselves in a balance between two things, which is the political narrative and administration. So what we can try and get right as possibly, and what we've been pushing for, is administratively we need to be right so that we can tell individuals, by the book, this is what we did, and these are the reasons for it. I think the only, I would like to say, flaw, or like what we could adjust, is that I believe had the meeting happened prior, where it's that we have reached this consensus, we've taken this stance as a party that because of these reasons, we feel that this is the best we can do in that situation. Surely still people would be upset regardless, because you have that political thing where this is their leader, this is the homegrown, and the decisions being made by top leadership. But I think had that could have been maybe mitigate the situation a bit better. But unfortunately, we opted to have that conversation afterwards, which was like, okay, we've made the decisions, we're coming to now explain to you. Now emotions had flared, and individuals were not willing to have that meeting in that aspect. So I think the meeting only lasted 10 minutes. We were covering all the things. The agenda was there to express and explain this type of concepts. And because of that type of flair and so forth with this human psychology, we believe that's where we could have, stoked down the fires ourselves. But we believe also, looking back at the videos and so forth, is that we must not forget that Keetmanshoop was a large crowd, and the people who were narrating the discomfort and so forth was a small percentage of that crowd. But because of just the nature of how they were doing it, the police that were there had said, for the safety of the honorable members and also the elderly, you must cancel this meeting. And as you know, my leader, who's passionate and so forth, he was saying, no, I'm not going to run away. I'm not going to, I came here to address a meeting. So it also took a bit of negotiating for that aspect, for it to be like, okay, let's cancel the meeting and then we'll inform the individuals as best as we can. So I think it's in that regard how that was handled. And unfortunately, sometimes it's just a small group that can make it seem like a larger problem. I think the same happened with when you see this on Saturday with NYC. It wasn't the whole youth that were there. It was a small group that decided to capture the situation, and now the meeting is cancelled. So sometimes these behaviors are the problem, and then also safeguarding your people, because at the end of the day, as LPM, we need to safeguard also our leadership, our people. So is it we push forward and have this meeting in this tense environment, or we cancel and we go back and go like, okay, let us make a press statement or press conference. Let us discuss this on the evening review, so that people can be aware.
Absolutely.
Yes.
No. The optics didn't look good. That's why I think that LPM has a lot of work to be done in so far as regaining, because what transpired on the day is, there's this biblical story of the donkey that carried Jesus into was it Jerusalem or Galilee, one of those cities,
one of those Bible towns,
and and then the people were ululating and all that, and then the donkey mistook that it was the ululations were meant for it and not Jesus who was climbing it. And then it returned on its own another time, and then it was pelted with stones. So the way Mr. Swartbooi had to leave reminded me of that. So I mean, it's up to you guys as a party, but I mean, in your stronghold, if your leader has to live under the cover of police, that didn't look good.
It doesn't look good, but he didn't leave under the cover of police. They had to, unfortunately. That's the situation in the regard. But this is the optics of it, is that still Keetmanshoop remains a stronghold. Swartbooi, Honorable Swartbooi, he was there the entirety of the week, walking around the town. That is where he was and so forth. To also just gauge the situation, because just in case, you are never successful if you don't understand what's happening on the ground as a political party. And in that nature, you can see that things did simmer. It was just a minute group. But again, like I said, the optics of it all, it looks like this type of huge sentiment. And that's why we're here to address that. It's not a huge sentiment, but it is something that needs to be addressed, so the people who are left in the dark are aware that this is what's going on. And the party is not in disarray. It's not a big shift or so forth. It is just a small group who felt that they were needed to be vindicated and have answers. Now the answers have been provided, both administratively and through the media and so forth. So we're trying to make sure that that balance is struck in there. It's also something that any political party has done. Unfortunately, no party enjoys removing people, where we would like to be in leadership with the people that we put there and so forth. When these things happen, it is when it's dire straits of like, okay, we can't figure out any other type of solution, unfortunately. At the tail end of this conversation, Lifa, let's talk briefly about NYC. You just cited it a while ago. What is your take on what transpired? 2 million of the taxpayers' money spent, 9 people injured. The elections of the new executive chairperson did not take place. What a mess! It is a total mess, and I may not look at it, but as a young politician, it really feels bad, because you are now awarding everyone who criticizes the demographic as, do you see, this is how young leaders behave, and this is why we cannot give them responsibilities or put them in power, because the moment it happens, this occurs. It puts a chink in the armor of like, what does the next generation have for us going forward if they cannot even have a democratic process where this is happening? And I think it becomes also a clear indication of a more systemic issue when it comes to the youth council and so forth. Because in general, the narrative, and I might be mistaken, but the narrative is Namibians aren't aware of what it actually does moving forward and what it's supposed to be doing. And we hear about the money being spent and reflecting onto the outcome, like what is the return on investment? And that becomes a bit scary as a conversation. Is it that we don't have leaders in the right positions, but also at the same time, when we're trying to advocate for them, then we have $2 million wasted, 9 injured, and a meeting that's cancelled, which probably means another $2 million for the next meeting, and that becomes problematic. And I think that also just proves that maybe the system itself needs to be there have been conversations of maybe it should be overhauled and changed and readdressed, because youth do have real problems. We have ever increasing youth unemployment rate. We have banks that are not supporting the youth initiatives when they try to go into entrepreneurship or SMEs and so forth. We don't have those mechanisms. The boy child is dropping out of schools and not enrolling into university. Our grade systems are still at a low level. So the youth have several issues that need to be addressed. And it seems that the council that's supposed to be championing the conversation and being the echo of it has no... I think I sat down and said, like, I don't know the last time you really sat down and said the youth council has really done something of this achievement. So it is quite concerning. Unfortunately, it could also be an opportunity for me as an opposition party to say that that is the leadership that the ruling party has allowed to take over, and maybe we do need fresh faces to really usher the things in, the likes of Dominga Ndala and all those other things, our opposition parties, where you have a different take on it. So that is also the thing of when you do have a monolithic type of thought process where it's just merely get jobs or that for yourselves and all those things instead of actually addressing issues. That could be the sentiment instead of actually democratic policies and ideas being the safeguard of that. Even the videos outside the fighting that came out are just people dancing and singing.
No real conversation.
No real conversation. So maybe it is that we need to diversify the pool of who gets to participate in these things and so forth.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Thank you for making that, brother.
Of course.
Yeah. That is Lifalaza Simataa. He is a spokesperson of the Landless People's Movement, just reflecting on headlines and issues that have been emanating from the party in recent weeks. Thank you for watching.